week in racing. It's time to recap it. And who better to do it than Michael and Magic? Two bros/pros who cover the highs and lows of racing around the globe on every one of their shows. Real fans look forward to these guys and their last stunts, cause they know they're not talking out of their royal ascot. What they say makes sense. So ladies and gents, sit back and relax as Blinkers Off presents The Magic Mike Show, where you hear the experts speak. The Magic Mike Show. Tune into the show every week. The Magic Mike Show. You can trust the show is the bomb because it's being brought to you by RacingDudes.com.
What's up, everybody? I'm Magic.
And I'm Mike.
And this is the Magic Mike Show, episode 340. Mr. Somich.
Huzzah.
How you doing, everybody? I was a little worried about you. I know it's a long weekend for everybody. It was a very long weekend for you. How are you feeling?
We're doing okay. It was like you said, it was a long weekend. It was one of the more epic gambling weekends of my life, I would say, just from a stress perspective. With just a ton of stuff going on. We were kind of on fire with the bombs. We almost hit we were live to 5 horses for $3,500 to $6,000 on Friday, and late pick 5 hit the early pick 5 at Gulfstream on Saturday. I'm sure we'll talk about the sanity to pick 6 here shortly. Also had FloCal going on, which was, ended up finishing 65th in that, and kind of bummed that I made a couple mistakes there and didn't have a couple different horses. But in those tournaments, you have to be perfect, and I'm sure that everyone in the top 100 is saying the same thing, like what coulda, shoulda, woulda of a couple of horses. So had that going on, and then obviously football. But yeah, that sanity to pick 6. I mean, if you watch the show, that the rookie mistake, that one stung, man. That was my second worst gambling beat of my life on Saturday. So that one stung, and got good and drunk Saturday night because of it.
You were still drunk Sunday morning, I think, when I was texting you, checking in. You said you're still a little tilty, still a little hungover. Yeah.
So you obviously just go hair of the dog, because that's how I was still feeling on Sunday. And so, start a little early on Sunday as well, but it was fun. Luckily, football absolutely crushed. That was kind of nice that all the opinions were right there after that first Bengals Raiders game. And yeah, that pick 6.
I'm sorry about it. Listen, but you made up for it with the sports betting, right? I know that ended up going okay for you over the weekend. And the football as a whole was interesting.
Yeah.
2 games, I think, maybe were fun for people.
You definitely had some moments. I mean, the Raiders Bengals game was nutty. That probably should have gone way over the total, and I'm not sure who should have won the game, but it was a very kind of crazy game, and that was really entertaining. And the Bills-Patriots, I think some people enjoyed that, to be honest with you. I think a lot of people probably enjoyed seeing the Patriots just get run out of that building. And then that Cowboys-Niners game was just a comedy of errors on both sides. I mean, just an absolute mess. So that was interesting. And then I know a lot of people who had fun with that Chiefs game, because there's a lot of pretty much everyone I knew had the Chiefs in some way, shape, or form, and so they were pretty excited about how that puppy went.
And I texted you in the group and Jared, and I was like, listen, I fully want the Chiefs to win. As much as happy as I am for Ben Roethlisberger, and I have his jersey here, but I'm not going to wear it again. We're going to retire it the way he's being retired, or is retiring, I guess. It's not a horse. I would say he's probably the greatest Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback. People would say Terry Bradshaw, and I say Terry Bradshaw is an excellent broadcaster. But yeah, it's Ben Roethlisberger is what made me a Steelers, or is what kept me a Steelers fan. I became it because of Jerome Bettis, but then they drafted Roethlisberger as a rookie when I first started paying attention. So I liked it. 0 losing seasons ever in 17 years, so that's pretty impressive. Had that one year where I think they were 500, but otherwise very happy with Ben Roethlisberger overall, and yeah, at least on the field. We'll leave it there. Happy with his performances on the field. And then they'll move on, but let's see that division. Are we going to be talking about the Bengals possibly winning that division next year?
No, the Ravens are going to win it next year. They're not going to get decimated with it.
It's the Bengals. Let's not go crazy here.
I can't believe that Jerry Jones isn't firing Mike McCarthy. I know we're going to talk about horse racing in a second, I promise. But I can't believe Jerry Jones is not firing Mike McCarthy. It's absolutely nutty to me.
Did you see, by the way, who is it? There's somebody named Mike McCartney, who was a former NFL director of scouting, who he's on Twitter. It's Mike McCartney, and every once in a while somebody mistakes him for Mike McCarthy, and it'll be some angry fan. So the Cowboys fans were blowing him up and like, I can't believe you still have a job. You go talk to your boss, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, it's my day off. I'm not talking to my boss today. Like, he was just totally trolling back and forth with him. It was a lot of fun.
I bet a lot of Cowboys fans wish that Mike McCarthy's day off was yesterday too.
Shots fired at Mike McCarthy, poor guy. Best thing that I saw, I had my parents here over the weekend, which was great. I haven't seen him in a couple weeks. And my stepdad is getting really big into bourbon now. And so he got not one, but he was excited. He found 3 bottles of Willets, which I'm not going to pretend to be a big bourbonite here. I'm just going to tell you, I was told this is really good stuff, and the bottle looks really beautiful. And so he got 3 bottles, and we had one of them on Sunday because we were celebrating our friend Geist horse, Menda Mill. She broke her maiden broke her maiden at Sunday. At Santa Anita Park in a turf sprint. And it came down to an inquiry, and it was a little dicey there, but I was very happy for them and Menda Mill for getting that win. It was really cool to see. I know you were watching a little bit. You were probably seeing 2 of Menda Mill, but did you get to see her?
I did, yeah. She ran well. She went right to the front, was able to get it done. Looked a lot better than her first start. She looked good in her first start, just a little bit green. Looks like they might have a stakes horse on the turf. And turf sprinting horses are so fun to have, because so much can happen in those races. So you don't necessarily have to have the best horse in the race to be able to get the job done. So, it's pretty excited to have a good horse. And I think Menda Mill is going to end up being a pretty good horse.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, and guys had told us that she was going to be pretty good. So it was nice to see that after that. I remember you could see she had talent in that debut, but it's like, oh, we got some work to do, and there's still some work to do. The lead change issue that kind of caused that inquiry. We'll work on that, but she's in good hands though. So congratulations to Geist and everybody at Little Red Feather. You got a good one there. Let's get into today's late pick 4, Mike. We're gonna be looking at Saturday's when I pick 4 at Fairgrounds. That's right, Fairgrounds. God bless you. You got the card out a week early. So we're going to go ahead and look at the pick 4 sequence, which has the Lecomte Stakes, which is Kentucky Derby Prep, the Silverbulletday Stakes, which is the Kentucky Oaks Prep, 2 other stakes, turf, dirt. It's going to be a lot of fun, Mike. Let's get into it. Rise up. All right, Mike, kicking off the late pick 4 sequence at Fairgrounds on Saturday, January 22nd, race 11, the Silverbulletday Stakes. This is a Kentucky Oaks prep race worth 10 points to the winner. If you want more in-depth information on this, Mike and I previewed it over at the YouTube page, youtube.com/racingnews. That'll be up there shortly. If you're listening to this on replay, it's there right now. Just a field of 6 3-year-old fillies in here, Mike. Routing on the dirt, we don't have the morning line yet, but it's probably going to be number 5, Lecomte. This is a horse that we were talking about, her bloodlines. Not only is she a daughter of Medaglia d'Oro, she's out of Cavording, who was a Grade 1 winner dirt router. She's a half-sister to Clairiere, who just, I feel like yesterday, was winning a bunch of graded stakes races at Fairgrounds. She won the Rachel Alexandra here. She did win a Grade 1, so plenty of bloodlines. The question isn't, are you going to use her, is are you going to single Lecomte?
Well, this is one of those, like, we talk about tick construction quite a bit. This is you use or you chuck, or you single or you chuck in my mind. I don't really think you can go too deep using her here. I don't think that you can, if you're going to use her, it's just her. Because, like you said, there's no morning lines out, but she should be 2 to 5, 3 to 5 maybe in this spot. And look every bit of it. It's a horse that I would love to fade. I just don't know who I would fade this horse with, and that to me was one of the biggest problems. Lecomte's first effort was phenomenal. She looked great. Churchill Downs, I love the fact that she went 2 turns in her first effort. I think that's a big positive for her here against this field. She's the fastest horse in this field, so she should be able to get the lead rather easily here. There seems to be too many things up against the rest of this field for Lecomte to get beat. So I'm going to start out by singling this 5 horse, so I think is going to be a pretty short favorite. I'm playing a small ticket for me because I don't know if this thing is going to pay a ton. And I think Lecomte is going to be tough to beat. So we're pretty much playing a pick 3 here.
Dennis is our guy. Good to see you in the chat, Dennis. Welcome back. Dennis works for Twin Spires, and he was there at Churchill. Saw it when she won. He said she ran a monster race watching her live in the paddock. She looked huge. I agree. And the 67 buyer is weird. This is one of those ones where it's like it's 67, but I don't know what more she could have done to go higher. Rosario, I mean, she was geared down at what, the 3/16 pole. What more do you want her to do there? I don't quite understand that. So I'm going to single her as well. Let's play devil's advocate. If there is a horse, because she's probably going to be favored here, if there's a horse who beats her, who does it?
You know, look, I would probably take a horse that's stepping up. And for me, that's Barna Breezy, the 2 horse here. This is a Berna Breezy, I'm sorry, the 2 horse here. It's a horse out of the Matt Shearer barn, and he's a darn good trainer that people don't talk about that much unless you follow this circuit. He's 22% right now for the year. The horse took a monster step forward going 2 turns. And to me, that was what I was really interested in here. You saw her first race, runs a 49 buyer, comes out, runs a 76 buyer in her second start. You add Lasix, you go 2 turns, and the horse just looked dominant. She also started slowly in that and just absolutely swept past the rest of them. If you go watch that replay, it's a pretty fun one to watch. She could be a really good horse. The question here is there enough time for her to improve enough to be able to get to where I think Lecomte will be? And is Lecomte going to get any pressure up front? Because if Lecomte gets loose up front, I don't think anyone's going to be able to run her down. Berna Breezy is the one that I'd be interested in underneath in the exacta. I'll probably play a cold exacta here too if the price is right. But it's going to be tough to beat Lecomte.
I got to admit, Chris, I agree with you. You make great points. Chris killed me when he said Lecomte is Creole for the Cret. I don't know what it is. You caught me at just the right one. That was great, Chris. I am actually going to go with you brought up that horse in the preview, so I'm glad you touched on it again. I'm going to go with Mark here because at first glance I was like, well, sweet as pie. We've got Coolmore bought in here. It's Tappet, Smart Strike Mare, Pletcher broke the maiden on debut, blah, blah, blah. And I look at those races. I'm like, they weren't really that impressive. She kind of runs one pace to me. And if Lecomte isn't in here, she probably has as good a chance as about anybody. She runs like she needs 2 turns. But Lecomte is so quick out of the gate. Watch how she bursts out of the gate in that debut. It's over from there. And I think if she gets that start here, like you're saying, Mike, over once more.
Yeah, we haven't, and look, sweet as pie, we haven't seen around 2 turns. She should improve going around 2 turns, but it's going to be the first time she's done it. Whereas you have 2 horses who have gone around 2 turns already. So it's one of the reasons I like both the 5 and the 2 a little bit more there. And I hate using this description because it just seems like such an insult. She seems like a plotter to me. Like she just she's a grinder, right? And maybe this horse ends up winning some stakes going 1.5 miles or something. But I think the 2 turns should eventually be good for her. The question is, can she take a big step forward first time doing it? And if Lecomte is loose, can she really run her down with the way that she looks like she moves?
Mike and I are definitely going to single her up here. If you're playing, honestly, if you want to play a pick 3 and you don't feel comfortable singling, this is perfectly kind of what we're doing here. We're just extending it out and giving ourselves a little bit more risk for slightly more reward because that's fun.
I would also, I don't know the takeout at Fairgrounds, to be honest. So I'd look at the takeout too and see what the takeout in the pick 3 and the pick 4 is, and maybe that's the way you get around it as well.
I never thought about it that way. That's a good point. We'll move on to the second leg of the late pick 4 sequence at Fairgrounds on Saturday, January 22nd. Going to the turf, the Colonel Bradley Stakes, mile and a 16th, a dozen older males, including last year's Grade 1 Arlington Million winner, 2 Emmys. The last Grade 1 Arlington Million winner, we'll ever have. We don't have the morning line odds here yet. I didn't use 2 Emmys because I'm still mad about that horse winning that race. But I did go 4 deep here. Would you go on top?
I went 4 deep as well. I'm interested to see who the favorite is going to be. I didn't use 2 Emmys either, for more logical reasons than the fact that I'm mad at 2 Emmys. I think this is a little too short, and there's no way 2 Emmys gets the lead in this spot. Actually, quite a bit of speed signed up in here. I thought that was one of the more interesting parts of it. Okay, so I went with Cavalry Charge, the 3-horse here on top out of the Dallas Stewart barn. This horse has tactical speed, but doesn't necessarily see the lead. I like that this horse has just gotten better and better and better since going over to turf. 1 wire to wire at Churchill in a non-winners of 1 allowance, and then kind of took a step up. But that race 2 back to me was a really, really nice race at Kentucky Downs, winning at the mile distance and being able to come from off the pace and doing it. That looked awesome. I thought that was a very good start. The 95 back-to-back buyers are good. We know this horse can fire off the layoff, which is a positive. You're getting early in the 5-year-old season, which is in that same as that late 4-year-old season, first off the barn, where we often see logical improvement angles. And I like the fact that we're showing up in a stakes race now. There are other places that this horse could end up in. And the fact that we're going to Stakes Company tells me that Dallas Stewart believes that Cavalry Charge is ready to make this jump. So I'm going to put the 3 Cavalry Charge on top as one of my 2 must-uses. The other must-use for me, right to the outside, is Known Agenda. From the Sherry DeVoe barn, I've been high on this barn for a while. It's fun to see her start to get horses, or more and more horses. She's done very well with the stock that she's gotten. I think that she's got a big shot in here with Known Agenda. Note the huge layoff and the switch over to the turf. So this horse didn't run from November 29th, 2029 till June 20th, 2021. So almost a full 18 months off. Comes back and runs a good second. Then wins next time out. But next time out was December 18th of 2021. So almost 6-month layoff. Now we're getting second off the layoff, third off that really long break. This horse should just be coming into form now. It's really hard to expect that horse to run its best efforts in either of those first 2 races off that long break. I think Known Agenda is going to be locked and loaded here for this start. I like Known Agenda's chances.
Yeah, I'm with you. It wasn't a must-use, but I definitely did use Own Agenda. I feel like there is a ton of speed in here, which is something that Mark brought up. And I did not use the Dallas Stewart horse you're talking about. I did look at him. I was like, God, I just feel like the horse's best chance is to go to the front, and there's too much other speed there where I feel like this is going to set up for a collapse. My top pick, I'm going to number 7, and not just because he's got an amazing name, but Excess Magic for Brett Calhoun, Raylu Gutierrez. First off, if you're not paying attention, Raylu Gutierrez is a pretty damn good jockey, and you can still get a sneaky price on him. I know Mike knows about him. Mike actually been talking about Raylu for a year now, haven't you? It was
More
when he
than
went
that.
to Sam Houston last year.
Yeah. I liked him in New York when he was a bug, man. He was because he's aggressive, he's strong, and he plays his horses right and gets the most out of them.
And that's why a big thing that I love about his riding Excess Magic, because this is a newly turned 4-year-old, a grandson of Galileo, so you're going to have plenty of good turf pedigree there. 3 for 4 on the Fairgrounds turf, and the only time he ran a bad race was the Black Gold Stakes when he got beat the shit out of. Like, there's a really bad trip. There was no way he was going to win that race. I love that he's got the tactical speed. You look at the Texas Turf Mile, Miguel Mena, his old rider, rest in peace, would take him back off. You see last out, though, in the wood chipper, going a 2-turn mile here at Fairgrounds. On the right up front, and then ends up winning by a length and a half, draws off pretty well. So definitely a top pick for me. I don't know what odds we're going to get on him. He tends to be pretty short odds in his career and is exiting a win, so he might be close to favoritism. Did you use Excess Magic?
That was my third pick, and I think you're going to get 6 to 8 to 1 on this horse. I think it's somewhere right in there. Oh yeah, I think this horse is going to be largely overlooked. Well, look, this horse needs to improve to win, which right away kind of knocks you. And he's never gone the distance either. Never been successful at the distance. So
I can go the distance. Sorry.
I don't think the distance will be a problem. The one
They're going to get demonetized. Sorry, Jared.
The one thing that you didn't mention that I really like is this is third off a layoff. We're increasing the distance with each start. So we went 5.5 the first time, went a mile the second time. Now we're going a mile the 16th. I think all systems are go here for Excess Magic. You're going to need to step forward, but I think that this is a logical spot for this horse to step forward. I'm also like a sucker for Brett Calhoun horses. I'm a sucker for Raylu Gutierrez. This combination is one that I like to use. They are 28% together in the last 2 years, 38% at Fairgrounds on 24 starts with $4.88 ROI. So pretty good combination to use.
Let's see where I'm going to actually look at your picks to see. We do have another one that we agreed on. Oh, wait, no, we talked about that one. All right, you go to your next one. We already talked about Own Agenda. I got excited there.
All right, I went for a little bit of what I believe will be a price, I hope. Did I pick Bow Cream? Let me make sure I got this right. Without the number.
Yeah, Bow Cream number is number 9. That's the last one you used.
Yeah, I did use Bow Cream. Okay, so yeah, I ended up using.
Are you sure you want to use Bow Cream?
I do. Look, the horse likes Fairgrounds turf. First off, okay, so we are 3 starts on the turf. We've hit the board each of those times. At the distance, we've got 2 wins and 7 starts. Again, this is one that I don't think needs the lead, and that to me is one of the keys here. Is that like your argument around the 3 horse that the 3 needs the lead here? I disagree. Cavalry Charge needs the lead. I think Cavalry Charge can win from a little bit off the pace. I think Bode Cream can as well, and that's the reason why I use this horse, because I want some of those tactical horses right behind it. Horses running the Maker Barn, ran well, gets claimed, goes in the Englehart Barn, 2 good starts, and now we're reeling back into a stakes race down here. You get Deshaun Parker up, who's very good. And if you go back, and you got to dig a little bit, but if you go back to the first time this horse ran over the Fairgrounds turf, it was December 28, 2019, going a mile and a 16th. And note that the horse closed from last place in that field and just missed winning at a big number. I think that this horse has the ability to be tactical. And I don't think it's the fastest horse in the field. So even if I don't think he's going to get the lead. I think he might sit the right trip right behind the speed and be able to pounce on him.
It'd be interesting to see what happens there. Last one that I ended up, I mean, I don't have any real feedback on you with Bode Cream, other than I think this, might be another speed horse. But I think you and I are just seeing these a little differently, and that's okay. The next horse for me, I'm actually going to talk about. I want to go to the rail horse. I'm trying to pull up the Equipace here. Logical Myth for Joe Sharp. I really like that. This, first of all, this is the horse that won this race last year. He's 5 for 10 on the Fairgrounds turf. You look at the fact that he comes off the break he leaves in August, comes back in November. Those 2 back-to-back efforts, pretty dull. You can forgive the first one, it's a break. The second one, not any better. Sharp takes the blinkers off. Horse has had the blinkers on for a while. So I like that Sharp is trying to mix things up here. Look who owns this. This is Joe Sharp's horse. He owns this horse outright. He's placing him consistently in all these stakes. He's not going to keep doing this if this horse doesn't still have some talent, or he doesn't think he still has some talent left. I think this is the time. Like if he doesn't do very strong here, I think we officially drop him down. He is a 6-year-old gelding, but I really think that you combine that with the weight break that we're getting. He does obviously like this track. I'm going to use him. He wasn't, I went 4 deep because I wasn't super into him, but I did use Logical Myth. And then I'll tell you my last one, and then you can give me your feedback. I went with Monarch's Glen, the 8 horse who Mark brought up in the in the chat earlier. Back-to-back solid closing efforts over this course. First 2 times he's ever tried fairgrounds grass course. He's going to get more chase to pace, what I think, on paper here than what he had in either of those last 2 races, because I looked at how the pace setup worked for those. I think he's going to have more to chase, which is absolutely what this horse needs. But he is a recent stakes winner at this distance, and we're getting Jersey Joe Bravo in from California. Jersey Joe was like, you know what? The weather's too nice in California. I'm going to go down to fairgrounds where it's either going to be 100% humidity, 100% precipitation. Either way, I'm going to use this horse. Not using the other maker might be a little dangerous.
Yeah, look, I looked at the rail horse quite a bit, and I can't forgive both those efforts. And you kind of hinted at that, where it's like it's the back-to-back efforts were the problem. The first one's totally excusable. That second, when you watch the replay, you're just like, it just didn't seem like there's anything in the tank. And that's a problem because this field is significantly tougher than that field was. So for me, I can't take him off of that race, and that's the main issue. What do you think the price is? See, I think Monarch's Glen's going to be the favorite. And
I do too, which is funny because you look back and the last time he was close to favorite was August. I mean, 5 races ago.
Yeah, I think it's going to be Monarch's Glen, and I think it's going to be 2 Emmys that are bidding for favoritism here. And I'm not a huge fan of Monarch's Glen. You go back and you're like, okay, well, what races has he run that really would beat this field? And you got to go back to like November 2020 at Gulfstream Park West. You go back to July 2020 at Saratoga. I don't think he's run a race in 2021. And none of those races win. And to me, that's a problem. I can't find on the paper what I can point to and say, yeah, this horse is going to win. I mean, you look at like Excess Magic that we talked about coming off a 90 buyer. That is the top buyer last year for Monarch's Glen. And Excess Magic has significant more upside than Monarch's Glen does. And so it's one of those horses where you look at it and it's going to get bet. And I can't get there for me.
Yeah, I think if the odds were out and he was like 2-1, wouldn't be on my ticket. That's for sure. But I also went pretty short here, as did you. So we're thinking it's going to be a little chalky regardless. Let's move on to the third leg of the late pick 4 sequence here at Fairgrounds. We're going to go back to the dirt, and now we are on the the Grade 3 Louisiana Stakes, mile and 16th dirt route for a field of 7 older males. We got a showdown here. 2 old friends of ours and everyone's. The 2021 Lecomte Stakes winner, Midnight Bourbon, our old friend, and the 2021 Risen Star winner, Mandaloon. Where'd you go on top, buddy?
You know, I didn't go to either of them. Don't you mean the 2021 Kentucky Derby winner, Mandaloon?
Give it another couple weeks.
Yeah, another year and a half.
Couple years.
Look, I think it's really interesting that Warrant is in this spot. And I'm going to go ahead and put Warrant on top, the 6 horse here. Brad Cox entering Warrant with Mandaloon, to me, is just it's showing a ton of faith, A, in Warrant, and B, telling me that Mandaloon may not be fully cranked for this spot. Now, it's odd to bring a horse back in a graded stakes not fully cranked, but this isn't the goal for Mandaloon. Let's be honest. The goal for Mandaloon is eventually to be in grade 1s, not a grade 3. This is a stepping stone, not necessarily the end goal. So I think you might see a more keyed up Warrant than you're going to see Mandaloon or Midnight Bourbon. I think those are clearly the 3 horses. They're all 4-year-olds making one of their first starts against olders here. So there's a little bit of concern there, but you look at like Spa City, Pirates Punch, Chess Chief, Sprawl. They're not horses I'm scared of, right? If Mandaloon or Midnight Bourbon show up with their A+ race, they're beating this field. If Warrant improves and shows up with an A race, he's going to be awfully tough too. So I like the 6 Warrant on top because I'm going to get a nice price on Warrant as well.
I looked at him, and for that reason, I was like, oh, man, what if I could Warrant? And then I was like, well, the only way I think he gets there is if I just couldn't do it. I kept trying to make it work, and I couldn't get past Mandaloon and Midnight Bourbon. But if you do like it, especially if you do like Mandaloon, you want to try and use both Cox horses, you can. I went with Mandaloon on top. I don't think there's any real reason to leave him off unless you're so chalky and you think this is going to be very chalky. But Mike and I were pressing opinions. If he runs his normal race, I don't know how he loses this, and that's kind of where I'm at. This is a prep for the Saudi Cup, which is where they've said for months was going to be his next start, and this is kind of that warm up, the prep for him to get ready for it. So if you subscribe to the theory that maybe Cox doesn't have him fully cranked, I don't. I think Cox wants him fully cranked for this so that he has something to build on to get to the Saudi Cup and is going to be absolutely primed and ready because Juddmonte owned, Juddmonte bred, Juddmonte want to win the Saudi Cup.
Yeah, I think I agree with you on all those points. I mean, you would expect that he's going to be pretty good to go. I don't even think, and this is interesting, I think the pace is going to be awfully interesting. I don't even think Warrant is the horse that presses Midnight Bourbon. I think it's going to be Sprawl. I think you're going to see it from possibly Pirates Punch or Spot City. Like I think that it's going to be other horses that press. And I think I think Warren's going to sit a gorgeous trip here, right behind 3 or 4 horses that are out banging heads for the lead. I don't think Midnight Bourbon gets away, and I've always disagreed, and I will continue to disagree with Midnight Bourbon's time form rating. You see 128 there. He's just not that fast. Like when you see 128 early time form rating, you're thinking this horse can go 22 and change, 45 and change. And that's not Midnight Bourbon's game. His game is 24, 48, 112, and just keep clocking out those 12 seconds. If he gets pushed to like 46, then it starts to get a little bit weird, and that's not just in his natural speed. So I think you're going to have a couple go out there, and I think Warren's going to sit a beautiful trip here. I am going to use the 2, the 3, and the 6. I think they're the clear obvious horses. I don't really think I need to hash over Mandaloon. I think Midnight Bourbon, if he does get loose, is dangerous. I'm just not so sure he's going to get loose.
Yeah, and that's why I didn't use it. That, and I was like, could I really? If I was going to go too deep, I didn't think I could use both of those here. I ended up using Chess Chief as the other one here. Oh, boy, Dennis just put it in there. And Mark, okay, I got a couple of people agree with me on Chess Chief. I feel a little bit better. Horse for course, that was a big thing for me, Dennis. He exits the Tenacious Stakes, which is over this course in this. He's 5 for 10 on the dirt. Dallas Stewart has never had a horse he didn't think could win a stakes race at fairgrounds, and that includes this one. But he's actually done it before. You got the pace scenario that from the Tenacious Stakes. Same pace scenario set up here. A couple of the same horses there. Pirate's Punch, I fully agree with you, Mike, is going to press Midnight Bourbon. That's why I didn't use either one of them there. On the off chance Mandaloon isn't fully cranked or isn't going to be ready off the bench, this horse is informed. This horse is actually going to win over the course. Seems to be coming off a primed effort. Just keep it in shape because he got that New Orleans Classic win last year. Do it again for me this year.
This is this field is so much better than what he has faced. I mean, you have the Knicks Go race, 3 back. Okay, right. There's the best horse outside of that he's faced is Maxfield, who I don't think is a very good horse. And so I just have class issues with Chess Chief. I think he is facing 3 horses better than any horse he faced last year, not named Knicks Go. And so is he going to be able to beat all 3 of them? And that's to me where the problem lies with Chess Chief.
I'm getting Raylu too. I'll take that. I'll steal that from Dennis. I'm getting Raylu too. Yeah, let's go. No, listen. This is Mandaloon's race to lose. I think you made a solid case for Warrant better than I could try and make on my own. You might have almost convinced me, Adam, but I definitely think that it's outside of Mandaloon, man. I think this is kind of wide open. Any other horses you want to talk about?
No, not really. I mean, I think it's wild that Warren is in this race. I mean, the fact that he's in here with Mandaloon, you're not burning Warren just to try and mess with Midnight Bourbon. I think you're using him because you think he can win this race. If you think he can win this race and Mandaloon's in here and you have Mandaloon cranked, then they think a lot of Warren.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you. Let's move on to the 4th and final leg of the late pick 4 sequence, the big one we're excited to talk about, the Grade 3 Lecomte Stakes. This is a Grade 3 race going a mile and 16th on the dirt for 3-year-olds. 9 of them entered in here, Mike. 10 points to the Kentucky Derby winner, and please God, let that be Epicenter, our boy, number 5, winner of 2 straight, including last month's Gunrunner Stakes over this course and distance. But he's got to face Papa Cap, who is still the Kentucky Derby points leader with 12 on January 17th.
Crushing it.
Yeah, and then you've also got the one horse that Brad Cox said that he had was a Derby horse potentially this year, Cyberknife, who runs like a jackass every time. Where are you going on top?
I'm putting our boy on top.
Yes.
How about that, man? And
Have a good day, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Not just a homer pick. I actually think Epicenter wins this race. Excuse me. I think Epicenter, look, that last race was ultra impressive. I'm happy we ran it at Fairgrounds. I'm happy we went 2 turns. Both those Churchill races were 1 turn. And he just looked better going 2 turns, looks strong, confident the entire time, has early speed. There's a lot of early speed in here, so that is definitely part of the concern. But look, I mean, you want to be forwardly placed in this race. We saw that the last few years. You're not getting anyone closing from the clouds to win these races. So I like the fact that we have some early speed. Didn't need to lead last time necessarily. Like the fact that Rosario shows back up here. It's showing quite a bit of confidence in this horse early on in his career that we have Rosario on it at Fairgrounds. So yeah, I think Epicenter has a darn good shot to win this thing. I'm going to put him on top.
I put him on top as well for all the reasons you said. It really isn't a homer pick, though. It's kind of fun. But it's he just was so good in that Gunrunner Stakes, especially considering that we were between kind of Epicenter and Rocket Dog, and then Rocket Dog got drafted before us, so it made it easier to take Epicenter. And then Rocket Dog, I think, is still finishing that race. So you and I agree on that one. I went too deep. I'll talk about the other one that we agree on, and then you can mention your 2. I'm going to go just inside the 4, Trafalgar. If you remember, way back when Mike and I first started doing the stable up thing, which is if we saw a horse win or perform over the weekend, that we're like, you need to stable this up and make a mention. This is the first one I picked. I said he was the only horse to close behind a really loose gate-to-wire winner who was Classic Causeway. He's gone on to place in several stakes since then. Well, he comes back. He wins. He's 4-5 favorite, but he won that. And then he won again over this course and distance at Fairgrounds. He's won with Lasix, won without Lasix. The style in which he won last out, Mike, that's not his preferred style. It's also not his preferred style to be 10 lengths behind, but you'll find a happy medium. He's a stalker. When he needs to go, he goes. He was only in a 6-horse field. He had to sit closer to the pace last time. Now we're second off. Now there's enough horses in here he can sit back from epicenter. If our boy gets pushed and gets gassed, I think Trafalgar is going to be right there to pick up the pieces.
This is my other must-use horse. This is, if I was going to go too deep, it would be 5 and 6 here. Trafalgar is just really interesting to me. You hit on all the points. I think that you want some medium between those two races. He doesn't want to be a million back, but he also doesn't want to be right on top of the pace either. And I don't think he could even be right on the top of the pace if he wanted to in this spot. There's going to be enough horses out there that he's going to sit a nice trip. And I would expect he's 4th or 5th around the first turn. He should be able to get fairly inside position, be able to save some ground and make a move. We're getting second off the layoff. I just think this is definitely one of those where you look at this like, yeah, this horse is probably all systems go. I would expect a pretty good effort here from Trafalgar. So, yeah, the 4 and the 5 for me were the two that I had on top. I did end up going 4 deep. I am going to use the 6 Cyberknife. Goofy horse, but, man, Brad Cox likes this horse. It's a $400,000 gun runner. I mean, there's just a ton to like about this horse. That last race was pretty impressive. And, yes, he was getting caught late toward it, but it's just one of those where I think the move was possibly a little bit too early on him. There's a ton of talent in this horse, and this horse doesn't need the lead. This one should be a little bit closer than Trafalgar and should be sitting right behind that first set of speed horses. And, look, this just seems like a horse that's going to fire here for Cox. You've seen this enough in these prep races where it's the horse just seems like this is the time for it to run its career best race. And if it does, it's going to be awfully tough. I think Cyberknife is a good use here. So I ended up using him. You didn't. Was there a reason you didn't use Cyberknife?
Yeah, I've watched all 3 of his races. You remember Proxy last year on the fairground circuit? This is Proxy. Proxy had the world of talent. They couldn't figure out how to unleash it from him, and then they added blinkers to him, and now this horse has worn blinkers before and kind of won. He got disqualified, but I'm not going to say that's going to be the case, but he's too much of a knucklehead for me. I will say that you brought up a good point. If the move was too premature when he did break the maiden, because he got to about halfway home and stopped because he was looking for horses, so maybe the blinkers will help. Maybe Flo knows that was his first time on. Maybe Flo knows now. Keep him going. There is a lot of talent. I've just seen all 3 of his races, and he's such a jackass when he runs. I can't use him here when I'm going so short, but I understand why you're going to do it.
Yeah. I agree with all your points. Jackass is a good way to describe him. And it is interesting when you see horses out front like that, and they're looking around. And he wasn't tired. He wasn't slowing down. He just got so far ahead, and he got bored. And so then you look at the number comes back with an 80, and it's actually a pretty good number. And now they're putting blinkers back on. They're trying to figure this horse out. I'm scared that if they figure it out, he blows this field out of the water.
They're like that. He was like in that stretch. He was like the Kansas City Chiefs yesterday. They got 35-14, and they're like, "All right, now what? We're just gonna. Oh, we'll let them score 21. Okay, yeah, go ahead, guys."
4th horse for me is going to be the 9 horse, which I believe is Presidential. Is that correct?
Yes, it is. Yep.
Yeah. This is the other Asmussen, and this one I thought was really interesting because the placement is just a head scratcher. So this horse debuts at Indiana Grand, goes a mile, doesn't run that great. Comes back, runs Indiana Grand, wins by 7 lengths. Haven't seen him since August 31st. This is a $625,000 son of Pioneer of the Nile out of a twirling candy mare. Really well-bred horse. Asmussen has probably the favorite in this spot in Epicenter. And we're just going to sprinkle Presidential in here? It's just a really interesting placement for me. I think I'm going to get a price on this one. I think I'm getting 15-1, somewhere in that range. And if this horse is 4-1, I'm probably not going to use. So maybe check back after we get the odds on this too, because that might be something. So it might be slight ticket adjustments depending on what the actual prices are here. But I think this is a long shot that's absolutely live. And the fact that Asmussen has 2 in here with who I believe will be the favorite and wants to put this horse in, which is kind of a left field horse, tells me all I need to know about it.
You could be right. My theory when I looked at this was, well, they got a $625,000 horse, and it took them 2 wins to get it done at Indiana Grand. Why not? I mean, they went 21.5, 138.9 for that. I mean, that was a slow race. That was a very slow race. But listen, it is the other Asmussen, and especially if the pace collapses, we know this horse is going to keep going, keep chugging along. So not going to knock you on that one. The one horse I want to talk about real quick, and we can get out of here. Papa Cap, I didn't use, but there's a part of me that's like, God, this horse could really screw us. This horse, he'd never like to seem to win, but he loves to hit the board. He likes to be competitive. What did you think about Papa Cap?
Could he be what's the Charlie horse? Could he be Hot Rod Charlie? Like this is very similar,
Yeah.
like super long odds in the juvenile, and he's kind of run well all year last year, but no one really gives him that much respect. Then he takes his tack down to New Orleans, and all of a sudden finds it, and then he becomes one of the better stories in horse racing of the entire year. I mean, it's got that kind of feel to it, right?
And he is by gun runner who love to win at fairgrounds, love to race at fairgrounds. Yeah, I listen. This could happen, and Nick agrees with you. It could have the Hot Rod Charlie path. It very well could be. It is a horse that I'm a little nervous about, but I also expect, even though he's only been favored once in his career, I would expect that he's probably going to be the second favorite, right behind Epicenter. Maybe Cyberknife is mixed in there too, but those are your three favorites here, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think this horse is going to be really interesting from a pace perspective because he has only faced Bob Baffert horses. And so we know how all those Bob Baffert horses are getting out to the lead, right? In every single race, he's been against one of the speedballs. And so we don't really know how fast this horse is. If you go back to its first two wins, he goes wire to wire, going 5 furlongs and 6 furlongs.
And he didn't face a Baffert in either one of those. There were no Bafferts in that best pal. I remember that. So he's only beaten non-Baffert fields, and he's got a non-Baffert field here.
And so you kind of sit there and you're like, well, I wonder what you're going to get from this horse. You know what I mean? Oh, God, okay, never mind. Good. I clicked on one of the races to look at the field, and I thought I saw a rookie mistake. I was getting pissed again.
He's back again.
No, I just can't get rid of this horse.
Just don't make the same rookie mistake, Mike.
Yeah, you can't get rid of him unless it's in a photo for the win. I think Papa Cap is dangerous in this spot. I can't with Papa Cap. I think this horse is going to get way overbet. I don't think Corniche is that good, which is one of the big issues for me. I think Corniche is kind of a middling horse, and I think there's more talent out there. If you love Corniche, I think you kind of have to love Papa Cap. And what we saw last year, and we don't know this year yet, but what we saw last year, and we could kind of say based on the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, the West Coast had the best 3-year-olds, period. Game over. West Coast has the best 3-year-olds, and Papa Cap wins this race by open legs, right?
Yeah, oh, definitely. I mean, Papa Cap wins this at all. I think we're like, well, shit, California's going to reign supreme again. Yep.
I am kind of talking myself into the horse. I'm not going to lie. Like as I go through this, Chris just called me out for it.
Don't do it. Don't do it, Mike.
As I go through this, I'm like, okay, shit, I'm starting to make some pretty good points. This will be a big measuring stick for East Coast, West Coast, right? I mean, because this is, I don't think the Breeders' Cup Juvenile was any good. I really don't. I'm kind of against that entire race. We'll see how that turns out. Last year, we thought it was good, and it turned out to be a great race. This year, I don't think Corniche is that good. I think, obviously Jack Christopher scratched out. We don't know what he is. Command Performance didn't run very well. I didn't like Papa Cap going into the race. I don't really love him coming out of the race. So this is going to be an interesting measuring stick for some of these preps moving forward. And this is one I'm going to keep an eye on because I think it's going to give you an idea of what circuit is going to be the best. I think it'll give you an idea of how the West Coast horses will fare against some of these East Coast horses. And that's really important when you are playing the Triple Crown races, when they actually finally converge.
That's going to do it for this episode of the Magic Mike Show. Thanks for joining Mike and I to go through Saturday's late pick 4 sequence at Fairgrounds on Saturday, January 22nd. Again, thank you, Fairgrounds, for putting the card out so early so we can talk about this now. We'll be back on Thursday. We'll do another show. I know Chris Mael had requested we go back to the Golden Shower, so I don't know if that's a sequence you want to return to. I know you're still a little sore about Santa Anita.
Well, I have the bombs up there for today. We would have hit every race except for that stupid 1-2 shot or whatever. Ran awful. Ridiculous. And my 15-1 shot didn't run much better, which is kind of a bummer. But we'll see how this goes. We're live in the pick 5 right now. We'll see how it turns out, and then we'll take it from there.
We're going to go ahead and give out our tickets one last time. Kind of forgot about that one. We'll go ahead and take a look below. I just did a $2 ticket because it ends up being very, very cheap otherwise. So I'm going to get out mine going single to 5, then 1, 4, 7, 8. Then 1, 2, then 4, 5. That is a $32 ticket. But if you want to play it for 50 cents, that's what, $8? $8. That's a cheap ticket. Even I can afford that one twice.
There you go. I ended up playing a 50-cent ticket. I'm going to go 5 with 3, 4, 7, 9, with 2, 3, 6, with 4, 5, 6, 9. It'll cost you $24.50. This thing could chalk out pretty heavy. If you play my ticket, I would highly suggest you also play some type of stack tickets where you're playing a $2 ticket or a $5 ticket with your favorite horse or horses in the last couple legs, because like that $24 ticket could return $100. And so the best way to attack a sequence like this is play it very short or stack it. And then, so like maybe go 5 with I think 3, 4 are my top picks. 5 with 3, 4 with 6 with 4, 5, right? And play that for $5. It'll cost you $20. And then if your opinions come in, you can make some decent money, and your ticket structure is significantly better.
It's going to be a fun card. I always get excited when Aaron and I did the preview for the Lecomte Stakes, so you can get that over at the YouTube channel, youtube.com/racingdudes. That'll be uploaded today if you're watching live. If you're on the replay, it should be up by now. But we talked about how this is kind of like when the Lecomte card comes out, this is that first real jolt of like, okay, here we go, like it's Derby season. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Go over to YouTube channel. We've got plenty of action over there. Aaron Halterman and I do a free race of the day preview for Oaklawn Park, and the guy has been on fire, especially with his long shot picks. I know sometimes Aaron unfairly gets shit on for being a chalk eater or a chalk player. Aaron's long shot giveaways in those races have been really solid, so make sure you're checking those out. If you guys are watching us on YouTube, we really appreciate if you give us a like, a thumbs up on that, and subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't already, because plenty of great content, and we're going to keep building this thing as we build towards the Pegasus World Cup. 12 days away, Mike. If I ask you right now, life is good, Knicks go, and you know nothing like we know nothing right now, who are you picking?
Life is good.
There you go. That's the correct answer. But we had an interesting no, I'm kidding. We had an interesting talk about that because
who's
Aaron and
the
Jared,
favorite?
It's got to be. I don't see how Knicks goes not the favorite.
I agree.
But this could be like 6-5, 7-5.
I agree too. How many horses are in that race?
They're struggling. They're struggling to get horses right now. I would say 10 because Dallas Stewart has got like 3. Like he said, Chess Chief he'll run back. Chess Chief got invited, and we just talked about him in a race. He'll run him back next week if he comes out of the race, okay?
Yeah, I mean, I would love it if Gulfstream's like, look, guys, we're just going to run a match race. We're just going to have the two of them go at it.
That would
Don't
be
worry
great.
about anyone else.
Just
Have a Pegasus, and then like have a super Pegasus, and just have like the match race after the Pegasus. Because then you get a big field, and you have that huge race.
$3 million purse, winner take all.
Yeah, there you go.
You imagine a $3 million purse winner take all match race? What that
I'm not
would,
sure
and it's Paco versus Irad on the jockeys.
Oh God, can they each get one? Can they each get one
get 2
foul?
whips.
Yeah, right.
In case you lose one, throwing it at somebody.
You can punch each other once on the way around.
There you go. Just once?
Just once.
Once per lead change. How about that?
Yeah. Then Paco's just
flip punch. Yeah, that's great. Oh God, this is laughing. Dennis says it's a great idea. Dennis promoting jockey violence. Look at that. Good.
I mean, it's going to be a really interesting race because I think life is good as fast as Knicks go, and I think Knicks go absolutely needs the lead. And if you combine those two, then you could have just like the scorching pace. Could you get like a bomb just closing from the clouds? I mean, do you almost play the one you like and the best closer if you're in multi-race tickets? So you're like, hey, I'm not going to – you can't use both, right? That's a terrible idea to use both. Right. So if you're not using both, you're either singling or you're chucking, which I think is pretty aggressive, or you're going too deep and you're using like a closer that you think can get them both if they do kill each other. It's going to be interesting from a race perspective. I would love a match race, but we're not getting that.
Yeah. Someday we can dream. Listen, there's been a lot of people saying they want Sam Houston in the chat, and we've got 2 races at Sam Houston on Saturday, Mike, that are on the turf. Both of them have 10 horses. You want to do Sam Houston Saturday?
Yeah, we can do Sam Houston Saturday.
Let's do Sam Houston Saturday. The people have spoken.
And by the way, we should say something about this too. We decided we're gonna do a live show for Friday night too. So Friday night, Sam Houston late pick 4. We're gonna jump on live and talk about the football games and cap the late pick 4. So make sure you check that out too. That'll be right here on Racing Dudes YouTube channel. So make sure you hit the subscribe button, hit the little bell thing so you get notified whenever we come on here and shoot the shit.
And actually, speaking of shooting the shit about football, in just an hour here, Aaron and Papa Dude will be on the next Dudes Who Bet Sports. They'll be recapping all the action from the NFL playoffs, and I'm sure they'll be talking about some other sports as well. So make sure you tune into that, youtube.com/racingdudes, for all that information. We'll be back on Thursday covering Sam Houston Saturday, late pick 4 sequence. You can follow us on Twitter. I am at Curtis Kalleward. He is at Somobomb 18, number 1, number 8, corporate overlords, at Racing_Dudes. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Special shout-out to 2 friends. Andrew, who sent us he created a fantasy league with his friends to try and grow their interest in it, which is amazing and awesome. Congratulations. That was pretty cool. Also, Andrew, you had the best draft, so shout out to you. And then, we had another fan, AJ, reach out that was from South Bend. That was pretty cool. So great to hear from you, too. So thank you, everybody, for reaching out to us and talking to us, and we'll be back Thursday. Until then, I'm Magic.
And I'm Mike.
Good luck this week. Good luck this week. I'll just leave it at that.
The Magic Mike Show, where you hear the experts speak. The Magic Mike Show. Tune into the show every week. The Magic Mike Show. You can trust the show is the bomb because it's being brought to you by RacingDudes.com.